When I was an altar server, I was impressed with priests that we were blessed with. They were amazing. Whenever they used to come home, my parents would rejoice. It was a blessing to our home. And like them, I wanted to be a blessing too.
I remember my early keen desire was to be an army officer. I felt like rendering heroic service in the National Defence Academy. But as I went to a Khandala holiday camp and then met other youth of my own age and met two young priests and seminarians, I began to think of joining another army, the army of God, and serving the deeper needs of people.
In the year 2008, the ones in charge of vocations in our Archdiocese had organized this beautiful program called the Quest on Wheels, which took us to different institutions run by our Archdiocese. Visiting these places and interacting with the people over there made me realize that I truly have a vocation and that there was a lot of suffering taking place closer to home.
When I joined the priestly training, I thought I would help the church to serve, but it does not work that way. God has different plans. God is not interested in your usability and utility, but in your availability. After 3 years in the priesthood, I was forced into the field of education. I used my creativity to make a difference. I was able to reach more than 300 schools across the nation, even going into the field of legal rights. And I realized God's making use of me to make a difference in the field of education.
The understanding of my vocation evolved over many years. The first early years in the seminary was understanding more deeply the basic faith. Then came the time of studying philosophy with unsavory bits of church history. I began to have doubts whether I was really called and I wanted to really commit my life to service in the church. But delving deeper through the guidance that I was given and deeper reflection and study, as well as the pastoral work in the parishes, helped me really discern my vocation and understand it more deeply as being the mind, the heart, the spirit of Christ.
Before joining the seminary, I had a lot of ideas about what I could do in the priesthood. But now as a priest and also during my discernment process as a seminarian, I realized that my time in the ministry and my time in personal prayer, also interacting with the Lord, has helped me discern and understand what God wants from me and how I am called to submit to His will.
There were also times of struggle, particularly with the unrealistic expectations of people, when our own tiredness and our own personal needs also are not taken into account. And that brings in an element of sadness.
We priests are soft targets. We cannot retaliate. And many of our decisions do not make everyone happy. So they malign us on social media, but we keep quiet.
The struggles, I would say, are more temporary than permanent, because even in the most heated of debates and conversations, there's always a silver lining.
And I often see this happening, that people who go all out to hurt us, later on come asking for forgiveness. And in all this, I've realized God's protection for His anointed.
What helps is the family togetherness, the depth of contemplation and prayer, and the experience of the power of the Spirit that helps us as it helped Jesus to do God's will and to do it well.
The joys are endless, from making new friends, building deep and long-lasting relationships, visiting new places, and the best part is incorporating your interests and hobbies into the ministry.
I experienced very much joy and fulfillment in my priesthood, particularly in the confessional, as a teacher, and then in youth ministry and work among families.
Vocation is an adventure. There is never a dull moment in our lives. You cannot plan your timetable. Something new is always happening. And that is when you're working for God and for His people.
In life, if you do not discern what God is calling you to do, maybe you do not know what His plan for you is. I would encourage you to have conversations with priests and religious in order to understand fully what God has called you and what His plan for you is.
To young persons discerning their vocation, I would say, listen to your inner voice, not just the expectations and the noise of the many outside voices. Discern what you want to make of your life and what plan God has for you, rather than only the plans you have for yourself. God bless.
I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your peace.